Today we're going to talk a little bit about interior designing. You are an interior designer by profession.
That's right.
For those that don't know what it is, in simple terms, what is interior design?
Okay, so interior design, of course, covers the entire gamut of whether it's residential interiors or corporate interiors or showrooms or any place which needs to be designed by a professional. Actually, you've got, as per me, people do wonderful homes themselves, so they don't really need an interior designer. I feel homes is something which should be about yourself and what you stand for. So homes is something which, if I give you a little background about how we got into corporate interiors, so that was what I always thought. I thought that every woman could do up their own home beautifully. And corporate interiors is something which is more professionally driven. So we got into corporate interiors, my business partner and myself. It's been around 32 years that I've been practicing interior design, and I trained for 4 years, and after that set up my own firm. And then I have a business partner, Ritu, the girl who joined me. And we've got this firm called Decoridge and Associates, which has now been around for 28 years. And yeah, fortunately, it's wonderful, touch wood, that Ritu and me have continued to remain partners for all these years, business partners. And so interiors, we specialize in corporate interiors because we felt that, offices is the space where maybe because it was more men oriented and they needed help for setting up their offices, and a little more professionally run. And the way we like to conduct ourselves is that we want to be given a brief and then we do it the way we want, do up the office the way the client wants, but it's only a preliminary brief, and after that there are very tight deadlines which are there, and we mostly deliver in time. So corporate interiors is what caught our interest, and that is what I was trained at. And then down the line, around 5-6 years down the line, we realized that we required a lot of modular furniture for our own projects. So that's how Contours Furniture System came into being. And so it was for our projects that we required. So we set up a small factory, and at that point in time we used to source from Nagpur, and we realized that with a 45-day, 60-day time kind of timeline to hand over the projects, we would invariably get delayed. So we set up a factory in Calcutta, and that gradually grew and it became larger, and now it's a very large integral part of our business. And Decoridge is now probably Contours, probably 20-25% of the work we do for Decoridge, and the rest of the work which Contours does is for different interior designers, various other heads. And incidentally, in Contours we also cater to residential furniture, which has not been our forte in the interior designing line, but in furniture we actually make furniture for just about any and everyone. It could be showrooms, and we also work for builders. So it's just we cover a lot more people under Contours.
What is modular design?
Modular furniture. So modular furniture is, in very basic layman terms, it's what you get in IKEA. You can actually just do it yourself to put it together. It's knockdown furniture. It's manufactured in the factory, and then it's taken to the space where it is finally required. So what's happened now over a period of time, and I feel COVID has been a changing factor in people's mind, people have realized the importance of time, and wanting to finish it on time, whatever project they may be working on. And there's not so much space to allow so many workers to come in. So like, let's say whether you're doing your home or your office, so there would be the flooring guys would be there, and the false ceiling, and the air conditioning, and the electrical, and the data networking, and the civil, and just about everyone has to work in that space. So now people have started feeling that they are able to do it faster. Interior designers have started accepting it, and the furniture gets outsourced. So that entire very large group of workers which is under the carpenters gets reduced. Of course, you can't do away with the carpenters. They need to be there. So, your partitions and your doors and the things which have to be done outside. But the furniture part can actually be done outside. So that's modular. It's done in the factory, and then it's just got to the site and assembled there. That's the main thing what modular is about. Now, coming to the quality. Now, because I gave IKEA as an example, I think overseas IKEA is considered more to be like an entry level furniture for people, youngsters setting up their homes. And But in India, what we do is we are not only working with the basic material can vary. And our USP in Contours Furniture System actually is that we work with any material which you may want. So it could be pre-laminated boards, which could be particle board or MDF or HDHMR, or it could be with any kind of ply and laminate. So basically, like the way what we tell our clients is that modular is not, there's not much difference between carpentry and modular when it comes to the basic raw material. It's the same. If you want to work with ply and laminate at your in your home with carpenters, we can use the same material there. So even in terms of your hardware, it can be the same. It's just the joinery which is different, because this comes in knockdown and carpenter makes the entire thing at the site itself. So that's the basic difference between the two.
Is there more scope having clients who are office kind of clients, office companies or workplace kind of clients, or maybe private homes?
For modular?
Yeah.
For modular, it's basically just about everyone.
Okay.
I mean, you could be a client, the person next door, it could actually just be anyone. Because when it's at your home, you would have a requirement for beds and wardrobes and kitchen.
Yeah.
And if it's at your workspace, you need your tables.
Yeah.
Then if you come into, let's say, a showroom, you need to have your shelving systems up and you need your spaces, your storage spaces. And you come into buildings, then we work for builders where we do vanity counters for toilets. We make kitchens for them. And what is known as shaft doors. We make a lot of shaft doors for builders. So shaft door has to be in just about every building. Even where we are sitting, there would be a shaft door for air conditioning, for plumbing. There would be a shaft door for electricals, and there would be a shaft door for taking your fire the lines up. So these 3 shaft doors are a requirement in every building. Now these require shutters, which typically carpenters used to do, but of late builders have now started giving the work to us. So we make it in the factory and we come and install it there. So again, it goes faster. Anything which is made in a factory has of course better finish, and it's extremely fast.
How would you describe your creative process when you have a client from start to end?
Okay, so when it comes to interiors, we've got, so we take the brief from the client in terms of what they want. So let's talk about the office spaces where we work. So let's say it's a 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 square feet space, because we're primarily working for banks where the sizes are a little smaller now, because everything is so online driven that the bank branch sizes are actually going down over a period of time. I remember 30 odd years back when we started, a bank branch used to be around 3,500, 4,000 square feet. And now it's literally come down to 1,000 square feet, 1,200 square feet. That's the size of a branch, which is, I mean, do you remember when is the last time you walked into a bank wanting to, withdraw money or deposit? It's
barely happens now.
Barely happens anymore. So that's how spaces are actually shrinking. So, we get the brief from the client, and then we also work for MNCs like, Colgate and Flipkart and HUL, and so we've got a wonderful list of clients who we work for. So we get a brief from them. So let's say recently we did the Colgate office, the HUL office, which was a part of their factory premises in Calcutta. So they had 2 floors of 6,500 square feet each carpet area, and the ground floor was only the tea tasting room. So what happens is that the client tells us exactly what they want. Now a tea tasting room, in fact it's one of the largest in Asia, I've been told. They've got a lot of storage spaces they need. They have specific requirements of how their tea is stacked in their drawers, and then they've got the tea tasting parts. So in a bare shell outline, the client tells us exactly what they want, and then we have a design wing in our office, in-house designers. They then plan the entire design out. Then once the approval comes, we work on budgets, and then we give it to the air conditioning. So we've got our consultants for air conditioning, and for electricals. So we do then. Further designing is done for how the flooring should be, how the ceiling should be, how the electricals will go, how the air conditioning will be done, where are the toilets. And then we do color selections with the clients. So we give them a mood board, and we give them, show them 2, 3, 4 options based on what their brief is. And then, when the budgets are made based on this, it's also in advance the client does tell us that, I'd like it to remain in this kind of a price range. Then accordingly the designs are made. So sometimes we could make the reception and let's say the boardroom a little more fancy, and the basic office, the office area and all, where we will control the costs a little. So that's how we keep to our budgets. And in corporate interiors, the variation of contingencies is just about upper limit is 10%. 5% to 10% is what we write even in our budgets, that you please keep a contingency of this amount. So everything needs to be controlled over, exactly right through the execution of the project. We do not have a very large scope for cost overruns. So which is how when we work in these office spaces, we need to understand, of course, our material. We need to know, and the clients also don't have too much of a variation once they've decided on their materials and their designs. They don't vary too much, which is very different to how it works in homes. So people have these beautiful homes, and when they go to select, so I've actually come across clients who would start with an X budget, and it could even go up to 2x 3x sometimes, because when they go in to select the, let's say, flooring, they'll go into this place where you have the most beautiful marble selections, and the designer would say, okay, your budget is around 500 rupees a square foot, and the client would put their finger on 2000 rupees a square foot, and then just because he just about loves it, he said, no, this is exactly what I want. So that's where the cost, the budgets go crazy. So this is more from the residential point, but in offices we don't have that freedom and liberty. And also, to maintain our timelines, we need to remain very sure on having frozen all our designs. So a bar chart is made even to control the timelines. Every activity gets linked with the other one. So we have this MS project is what we work on. So you put in the basic details, and then you link all the tasks up, and if you go have an overrun, or if you have any timeline which is going incorrect and you've crossed it, automatically all the others get affected. So
it's like project management.
Yes, like a project management. So it's a different ball game. Residential and commercial interiors is, corporate interiors are quite different. So we do sometimes collaborate with interior designers. So if I have someone who calls me and says that they'd like a fancy office to be done, and I'd say, I'm sorry, that's not really my forte, and I wouldn't be able to help you. So I would recommend a couple of other designers. And likewise, I think it works the other way around. So designers who are used to making very fancy places, if they have a client who comes and says that, okay, I've got a bit of a minuscule kind of a budget and a strict timeline, they would come to us, and then we would. So what's wonderful now is that in the interior designing fraternity, people have started collaborating a lot.
So that's good for exchanging ideas and actually maybe growing the industry.
Absolutely. So whether it comes to materials, sharing your information. So we've got a lot of platforms now on, you've got groups, interior designer groups which are there on WhatsApp. And I've noticed how wonderfully people are collaborating there and helping each other. So I've seen, like let's say, and with the way, we've got the world in our hands now when it comes to our phones. So I may have looked up at some beautiful design which is overseas, and I don't know what the material is. So I'll put it up on that group and say, can anyone just help me? What is this material? And, where do I source it from? And it's amazing, people would feel that interior designing is a very competitive field. No, it's not. We've actually got designers on the other side helping us that, okay, why don't you go here and why don't you look at this? Because, so it's wonderful. I think the place where we are in at the moment, it's very nice, and people also recognize that you're not wanting to tread on each other's shoes. Everyone's made a little niche for themselves. I'm also talking from the point of view of a designer who's been around for very, very long. And I'm not talking of the newer ones, because that space I don't understand. So maybe there's competition in their minds there. But when it comes to, over a period of time, we've all really understood where we are. We've got our little niche in the market, and there's space for everyone. So that's how I think this whole evolvement in our thoughts of, how we can collaborate has come about.
And to what extent do you see artificial intelligence being used in the creative process? Okay,
then I'm not the right person for this for sure, because I'm not a tech person. I'm not tech savvy. I'm not on social media. I'm actually quite poor and very technically challenged. So when it comes to artificial intelligence, my knowledge is literally limited to whatever my daughter would be, whatever input she gives me, and she'll take a picture and put it in and get one lovely animated version out of it. Or, the other day I was telling her, okay, can you write me a message? So I was going for a wedding and I said that, can you just quickly write me a message? And she actually put it into AI and asked it to generate a beautifully worded message. And when I was like very taken aback. I said, did you write this? And she says that, no, I said, it's too long. She said, okay, just give me a second. And she changed her information she put in and said, okay, within 50 words I want it. And that's how it is. So believe me, I mean, it may sound a little bizarre, but that's all my knowledge is. But I have been told, yes, of course, that we need to be with the times, and AI is here to stay, and that is the future. So I think, yes, more and more the way I've been meeting people, we have some courses also which people are having to help us with our design. As of now, we've not taken the help of AI in our work, but I don't think the day is too far that when we may have to take the help of artificial intelligence.
And what interior design trends are currently quite popular these days amongst your clients?
So again, what we do, which is corporate interiors, it's a lot to do with open spaces. More and more people, they don't really want to be within closed, the way, let's say, a few years ago people would want the boss would be sitting in his chamber, and then you'll have the staff, and then you have a lot of hierarchy. The current trend, what we see is a lot of people have done away with cabins, closed cabins at least. It's more glass, it's more open ceiling, it's as much space as you can get, leave as much natural light to come in. So all those are things which I think maybe that connect to nature, or to get the natural stuff in. All that is there. Again, people are considering everyone's like a peer. It's more friendly, the environment where people are now working. So let's say, for instance, if you talk about a Flipkart kind of an office, they actually have no cabins. It's zero cabin space. So even at the time when this was started and you had Sachin and Binny Bansal starting off with Flipkart, so you go into they have these absolutely huge facilities in Bangalore, and they've got these 5 feet by 5 feet L-shaped workstations going into hundreds and thousands of workspaces like that. So even if a Binny Bansal is to come in, he would just be sitting in one of them. And there's no predefined space which everyone has. I mean, there's no fixed stable space. So that, of course, is one extreme. That's not the way other offices are. But I've noticed in most cases, offices have now become very linear, not too much hierarchical, too much of hierarchy, and you may have one chamber for the head, but then more or less the rest of them are all at par. Space is allocated based, of course, you may get a little more if you're senior, but that's more the trend now. And when it comes to furniture, because that's also integrated with it, you have very light furniture now. So you don't have anything which is very heavy. When it used to be, 1200 mm or 4 feet height partitions in the open office, now everything has come down. You've either got it open or you've just got a little screen in front. So, you've got a height of 3 feet. I mean, that's it. Everyone can just look at each other. So where there would be a mindset earlier that I need my little space and I don't want to look at the other person because it disturbs me, now it's no, people like that. So those are the trends which are there. In terms of colors, it's very light and white, and those are more trendy. And ceilings, of late, I don't remember last when we actually made a false ceiling for any client. They're all just open. You've got your raw look, you've got your air conditioning showing and your electrical showing, all of it just is visible, and you just paint the ceiling up in one color. So it's like nice and bright. The offices we do primarily for our clients like Flipkart and all are all just very bright and vibrant. So just a lot of color. So that's the way. But then we also adapt based on what the client requirement is. That's the way.
Speaking of trends, nowadays a big buzzword is environmental sustainability.
Yes.
Climate change, stuff like this. Do you notice that your clients are getting more environmentally conscious? And if that's the case, is that kind of seen in your design process?
Not as much in our design process. I am talking totally from the way we work. But yes, a lot of our clients, most of the corporates are now, they are going green. The building will be green. We need to have adequate certification from, the material we use needs to be certified. So everything they want it to be compliant with it being environmental friendly. So most of them, they've given us now, there's a brief which comes out. So if let's say we work with an HDFC bank and their building is a green building, we need to have every element what we use is to be certified, and it needs to be environmental friendly. So from the raw materials, it starts from there. But when it comes into integration with our designs, as of now, no, we have not really reached there. I don't think so. There's too much there. No, but it's more to do with the material.
Is there any particularly challenging brief you had to work on in recent years, which kind of stands out to you?
Okay, the most interesting one which we worked on till date, I would, and I really treasure that particular one, is the facility for Flipkart, which we did in a place called Haringata, which is around 60 kilometers from Calcutta. So this was the first project of Flipkart's which was self-owned. Means before that, every place which Flipkart has owned in terms of their warehousing facilities has been in rented property. So this was the first self-owned property. So it's spread across 108 acres, and the first box when it came up. So Ritu and me were very privileged because we were from the groundbreaking ceremony when that happened to their first site office, which was actually part of a container. Till the last bit which was ever done in that place was where interiors was required was done by our firm, and we were probably the only two women who were allowed. So in this construction site, because Flipkart comes under Walmart and they have a lot of rules and regulations, there were actually no women workers in the entire place. So Ritu and me felt, it just felt very good that we were the only two women who were allowed into this area. And so when you work in these kind of projects, you have to be fully geared up in terms of wearing a helmet and your safety jacket and your safety shoes, and so all of that. It's a little tough to work in the heat, sweltering heat of Calcutta, working in an environment like this. But that was really something challenging, and we enjoyed it thoroughly.
And where do you and Ritu see your business kind of evolving in the next 5 to 10 years?
We are growing contours more as of now, rather than growing decorage. That is where aggressively we try to reach out to clients, or we are part of a lot of chambers and associations, and because that's the only way we can market ourselves, is through interacting with people and networking. So very aggressively we are promoting contours. We are making a wonderful new facility for ourselves, which is a pretty large setup which we've got coming up. Hopefully in the next couple of months it will be up. So we see contours really going by leaps and bounds, more so because people are accepting modular furniture into their workspaces and homes. There we see, in the next 5 years I would consider a 10x kind of a jump in contours. Decorage is more at a plateau at the moment, I would say, and even in terms of clients, we continue to work with the same clients who we used to work with for the past 20-25 odd years. So if we've working with an HDFC bank or an Axis bank for 25 years, we continue to work with them till date. So if we're working with the Flipkart for 12-15 years, we continue to work with them till date. HUL, at that time it was called Hindustan Lever, HLL, was our first big client around 28-29 years back, and we continue to work even as of now. So we pride ourselves there, where we feel that we must be doing something right if we are able to retain our clients for as long as we have. So that's more like we have a kind of a steady growth, which is like a gradual 5-10% growth which we see in decorage on an annual basis. But no, contours is where we would like that to really grow.
And you were the last question I had was actually something that you briefly touched on and just now. It was about like marketing your business and stuff like this. Is there any other kind of unique way you're marketing your business these days?
So for contours, as I said, we are a part of this wonderful international organization called BNI, which is a Business Networking International. So Ritu and me have been members of BNI, different chapters of course, since close to 8 years now. and we are also part of various chambers and interior design bodies. Like in Calcutta, we have something known as ABID, which is architects, builders, interior designers. It's an association for them. So we feel that's where we get most of our clients from. And of course, we've got a consultant now who helps us. It's been maybe a little close to a year and a half. So we felt that because we've just grown from a single man organization to now we've got a staff of 60 with us, full-time paid employees. So we feel that it was more not like a structured kind of a growth. So we've got a consultant on board now who's helping us set up our systems and to grow the right way. So he guides us exactly how to reach out through social media or through this networking organizations that we are part of. So these are mainly where we do participate in exhibitions where we showcase our work, so we get more new clients who come in. So basically these are the kind of things we work on.
And if there are people actually looking for an interior design service, how can they kind of get in touch with you?
Okay, so we are present on LinkedIn and I think Facebook, Instagram. I think we're there all over. So you can just reach out to us. Our companies are Decoridge and Associates and Contours Furniture System.
Okay, and basically at the very end of the chat, I always ask someone, the person I'm speaking with, do you have any advice that you can give for anyone who's maybe watching this video? It could be any general advice or maybe even advice related to, maybe in your case, women who want to get into interior designing, anything in general.
Okay, so I think just follow your dreams, do what you want, never really give in, and if we are surrounded by supportive people, which I'm very fortunate to have, had a wonderful family and a husband who's very supportive, at a timeline when things were not as open as they are today for women. But just follow what you do, and for Contours Furniture System, which is like a proper manufacturing unit, believe me, I think till date, Ritu and me probably are yet the only women entrepreneurs who are in that line, who are into pure manufacturing. But interior designers, of course, there are several women who are there, and it's a wonderful space to be in, where you can work at your own terms. You grow at the pace you want. You take on as much work as you feel you're capable of. So a wonderful place to be in if you're creative, and even if you're not creative, in Decoridge many a times you're actually only executing the designs made by other people. Or even in Contours, someone comes to us with a design of what they want for their wardrobes, etc., and we are just executing it for them. So, whatever it is that you enjoy doing, I think just pursue and follow, and there's no way you will not be successful.
Thank you very much, Anisha, for being here and sharing your insights.
Thanks so much, Arjun. It's been lovely.